Whenever you're ready. Hello. Just had rotator cuff surgery done on my right shoulder. I think it's called a labrum tear. It was completely torn. And also during surgery they found out that I had a partial bicep tear. So surgery was done on December 19th. Today's the 24th, so this is day 5. I saw some great videos on YouTube, great advice on there. I just thought I'd add my 2 cents worth, give you an idea on what to expect, what to do before surgery, during, after. So anyway, I guess this shoulder here is also torn, but it's about 70%. I can still lift, I can still do relatively normal routines. I got to the point, years of construction, this shoulder just seized up, prevented me from doing, all the fun stuff. I couldn't lift a canoe over my head or a kayak, difficult to paddle, doing any outdoor sports, even in the gym. I had to keep the weights really light and everything. So finally got the shoulder done. So admitted into hospital 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. Surgery was done about 7:45. It was about a 2-hour surgery. So when they were prepping me, they hooked me up to all the machines. They had actually put in a nerve block in my neck, what it did was, in effect, it numbed my whole arm to the point where I couldn't move my fingers. It was like completely dead. So then they got me ready for surgery. They knocked me out with all kinds of stuff from the machines. So I woke up maybe 3 hours later, really groggy, really numb, couldn't feel much pain, but very nauseous. All the medication that they fed to me, I was really nauseous for about 3 hours. So I ended up getting a ride home, and so this is some of the stuff that I prepared for before going into surgery. I thought it was important to do a lot of light stretching, light weight training, just kind of get the blood flowing to the area, give it a lot of stretching, not to the point where it was going to tear it anymore, but so hopefully it'll rehabilitate a lot quicker. So I did a lot of that, and also beforehand watched a lot of videos on YouTube, so some really clever ideas, because I'm right-handed, so basically pretty useless with the left hand. But I'm going to be in this brace for 4 to 6 weeks, so I had to kind of figure out, if I'm going to be by myself, what are the things I can do in order to help me through my daily routine. So I brought a few props beforehand. This, a one-handed electric can opener. It's phenomenal. You just basically put it on top of the can, and it just kind of opens up the can for you. When you're done, it just pops off, and boom, you can open anything up with one hand. For putting on boots, shoes, again, I got shoes, my shoes, I got shoes with Velcro straps, so it's quite easy to do. And now it's winter time up here, so we're getting a lot of snow lately. So I've got winter boots, and what I did was I pre-tied them. So they were fairly snug when I wore them, but they're kind of easy to slip in and out of, and using this giant shoehorn, you can just pop it in the back of the boot and your foot slides in and out really, really easy. So that's a really cool thing. Haven't really used this yet. It's a grabber bar. If you have to grab anything from upper shelves or anything like that, you don't want to risk standing on chairs, anything like that. So haven't used it yet, but who knows. Another thing I did was anything I thought I'd use, like coffee, shampoos, anything, I kind of loosened the lid just enough so it was still snug on the bottle, but I can untighten it with one hand and then retighten it with one hand. I'm trying to basically not use this hand as much as possible. This band-aid here is going to be on for about 2 weeks. So I'm not allowed to get the area wet. I don't even know what it looks like underneath. That's a lot of gauze and everything, and it's actually, my cat's all interested. So it kind of prevents me from putting much in the way of ice. It's been kind of ineffective. I do get some cold, so I haven't done too much of that. What they did give me were 2 types of pills. One was Percocet, that's to control the pain. The other one was, I forget what it's called, but it was a type of anti-inflammatory that you're only supposed to use 4 to 5 days afterwards. The anti-inflammatory didn't work for me. It made me very nauseous, so I stopped using it after the first or second day. The Percocets, I just used enough to take the edge off. My biggest mistake was the nerve block started coming out of my system about 12 hours after I got home. And I should have listened to the good people on YouTube that as soon as it starts coming out of your system, take the pain meds. I waited, and boy, I had shooting pain up and down my whole arm. Everything got swollen on me, and I could have avoided that. So a few other things that I prepared for. First of all, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm still swollen. My right hand is a lot more swollen than my left hand, the same as my right side, very swollen. And about 2 days after the surgery, I felt really, really bloated. And just out of pure interest, I decided to weigh myself. Now, going into surgery, that was about 184, 185 pounds. 2 days later, I weighed myself. I was 197 pounds. And that's not from eating. That's just from water retention. I hadn't taken number 2 by then. Even going pee was barely a trickle. And it's just like all the water kind of retained in my system. So what I did after, on the second or third day, I took a long bath in a soaker tub with plenty of Epsom salts. I just soaked and I scrubbed myself. That's where this brush comes in handy. Just really cleans yourself up nicely without getting this area wet. I could have probably taped a piece of plastic around my shoulder. I didn't want to take that chance, and plus the bathtub, it was just nice to sit and relax. At that point I could take off my brace because the water created enough buoyancy where my arm wasn't going to move around or anything like that. So also what I did beforehand, I cooked up a few roasts in my slow cooker. All the vegetables, all the meats and everything, and after that I put them all, the roast, and it was kind of like a stew. So I put it all in 1 liter containers, put them in the freezer. You could do that with chicken, with turkey, with pork, whatever. You got a great combination of vegetables. You got your proteins from your meat and everything. All you got to do is just pull out one of the containers in the morning, and you got yourself a nice hearty meal. Speaking of meals, first day, just stick to like a consomme type soup, nothing heavy on your system. As I say, you're probably going to be feeling nauseous. I know I was. A lot of other people claim to have that same experience. So nothing really overly stuffing or nothing too sweet. So again, just like a basic consomme soup with a bit of beef in it. So as each day progressed, I started feeling a little bit better. I'm now down to, I took 1 pain med today just to take the edge off. But oddly enough, after I had my bath, actually I took 2 baths on that day, I weighed myself again, and I dropped from 197 to 189. So it was just all the moisture, all the water. I guess the Epsom salts really helped me out. I finally took a number 2. This is day 5. This is now Sunday. It's Christmas Eve. So I'm feeling much better today. And the other thing that's really been helping is the second or third day after my surgery. Went for a walk. I was still hopped up on pain meds, so I had to be really careful. It was cold out, so I'll show you how I put on my clothes in a little bit. It's very simple to do, but of course winter boots. I don't want to slip and slide because you're going to be a little bit off balance. So that walk made me feel 100% better, and I only went around the block. Yesterday, day 4, I probably walked for about 4 kilometers. Nice out, a little bit of snow, but again, winter boots, just took my time, didn't want to fall, didn't want to slip anywhere. And I find every day now I want to go for a walk more and more. It gets the blood going through your system. You're really going to feel a lot better. So that's a good point right there. So one of the things too to prepare when you get home, likely you're not going to be able to sleep on a bed. So what I recommend, and a lot of other people have recommended too, reclining chair. This one here, I made sure I've got a reclining chair. Levers on the left side. I can just kind of pull back. Eventually it'll go into a spot where it's really comfortable. I've got lots of pillows here where I can kind of prop up around my arm. I can fall asleep this way. I've got the TV in front of me. I can be lazy. I got my little table beside me, so anything I think I need, well, this is a chair, but obviously I'll get a better table, a glass of water, because you want to be able to hydrate yourself constantly. So, this is, of course, not always easy. There we go. Even better than this, you can actually rent a reclining chair from a medical supply shop. I've rented one at a place where I'm staying occasionally. For the month it came to about $175. They deliver it for you, they get it set up. It's got a little remote control button, very easy, and it actually lifts to the point where you can literally just step off the chair. Highly recommend it because you don't want to be exerting too much, especially if you're sitting on a soft couch. Try rolling out of a bed, it's just not going to work. So at least for the first couple of weeks, you want to do that. Another precaution, highly recommended, is take a stool softener. For me, I didn't take a number 2 for 3 days. And I kind of forgot to take the stool softener, and it was a painful experience because for 3 days everything kind of accumulates in you, and I swear to God it felt like a locomotive coming out of you, and then it gets stuck halfway. And that brings up the other point, I'm right-handed. Trying to do things with your left hand, it's weird. It's very strange. It almost feels like a stranger's down there doing it for you. So if you can, when you go to the store, ask for left-handed toilet paper. Okay, I'm joking about that. There's no such thing. All right. But anyway, stool softener. I started taking stool softener. I'm now back to a regular routine. It works much better because you want to have nice, soft stools, and not worrying about the wipe and nasty stuff like that. Trust me, it's painful. A couple of other things. So every day now, as I said, I go for a long walk. Now, because it's winter time up here, it is starting to get snowy and icy, so maybe in the next few days I'll be going to the gym just to kind of stretch out my left side, and I'll be hitting the cardio machine, just the treadmill, just light, easy. You got to get the blood flowing through you, and the quicker you get back into exercising, the faster you're going to recover, and I don't think any doctor will dispute that. But you got to keep this arm immobilized My follow-up appointment will be in 2 weeks. So actually 2 weeks from the surgery, so it'll be next week. For that time, I'm not allowed to get this wet, can't take this off. Again, it doesn't feel bad at all. So hopefully I'm progressing really well. Again, in the bathtub, lots of Epsom salts, stuff like that. I do a lot of stretching, and then meals. Now that my appetite's come back, I've got a regular schedule when it comes to going to the washroom. Drink lots of fluids right from the start. Lots of fluids, just even if it's ice chips. Lots of water. I'm now at the point where I'm eating a lot of fruit. Blender's really handy for that because I make what I call power shakes. Throw in your strawberries, your bananas, apples, a little bit of protein powder, and you're good to go, because you really need that protein to build back the muscle, build back the tissue, and you also need the vitamin C. Vitamin C is paramount. So you get a good combination of those. Keep your meals clean. Avoid the junk foods. Avoid the greasy fries. As I say, I prepared a few meals. Keep in mind, if you're going to eat something like a hamburger or a sandwich, it's tough to do with one hand. So if you don't have anybody else to cut up your meat for you or anything, good luck. So keep it really simple. So anyway, this is day 5. I actually feel really good today. I'll just show you here. This is the brace I got from the hospital, and when I take it on and off, I usually like to be in a seated position. It makes things easier. That way the arm rests nicely on your leg. You're not going to jar it or anything. This one here has a little strap that goes around the waist, prevents your arm moving laterally. So I just peel this off. And then this here comes off like this. There's several different type braces. And another good thing I did beforehand was, before my surgery, I actually went down to a local Shoppers Drug Mart and bought myself a cheaper type of a brace, just to get used to it, just to see what things I'm going to have to encounter during the day that are going to make it more difficult, and how to prepare for that. So just taking it off, and then a few times a day, I like to stretch my arm out. So I just kind of, again, I've got my leg for support here. I don't want to move my arm out or anything, and as you can see, the brace had my arm going across my stomach like this, and it keeps everything fairly immobilized. So I can drop my arm down, and I can actually bring it back up like this. I'm not putting any pressure on the shoulder at all, and I can just move it around. I found after 2 days my elbow really got swollen, really got stiff, and really hot. So I try to give it a bit of a stretch, not too much, but you see, I do this a few times a day. Each day it gets better. I can actually stand up if I want. I want to be careful not to move my shoulder back and forth like this. So also in preparation, clothes. Track pants with an elastic band. You don't want to be sitting there trying to do up zippers and buttons, anything like that. It's not about style, it's all about comfort. Shirts. Now there's a couple of people on YouTube that they've really gone to the trouble of cutting up shirts, putting in Velcro, the whole bit. I don't think, I didn't really need that. My key was to buy oversized shirts. And it's quite simple. When you're putting on a shirt, and I'll show you in a minute, you put on the shirt with the bad arm first. So you're basically, I'll show it to you right now. Here's just an oversized shirt, $3, Value Village. Make sure you got the front lined up. So it's all about patience. It's not going to go really quickly, but again, I like to do this with my arm resting on my leg, and it makes things easier. So I just bad arm first. Move these pillows a bit. And arm first. Put it right through. You can lift up your arm a little bit. Get it right up here. Like so. Eventually, get your head through the hole. That's half the bow right there. After that, it's just about adjusting, taking the shirt, adjusting it like so. Once it's fairly or mostly on, just slip the other arm through. Bam. It's not overly pretty, but it's comfortable. Now to take it off, you do it the opposite way. So instead of trying to take this off first, I basically bring everything up like so. Take it off this arm. Still a little awkward, but after you practice a few times, it's not too bad. And like that. Now, because I said it's winter, I'll have a shirt on. So if this was my sweater, I don't have to go through all the hassle of trying to put my arm through the sweater. It's just a temporary thing to get me from outdoors from A to B. So in that case, I go the opposite way. I just put on this arm first, put on my head like this, and then I just slip this right over my shoulder, right over my back. You have to reach back a bit. And your arm is basically contained inside. Now this is when you have the brace on. So it's like that. So it's quite simple. Again, take it off. If it's oversized, you're not going to have a problem. This here takes a little bit of getting used to. It's got two straps. I think my hospital gives out about the cheapest brace possible. I've seen much nicer ones on YouTube, but it works. So once you figure out which is the top and which is the waist strap, this here is, I believe, the top one. I'll put it over the back. I can use my right hand just to hold things for now. Not relying on it, just temporarily. This goes back here, like so. Again, the right hand can hold things. I'm not moving it. It's resting right on top of my leg. And bam, I'm good to go. So, cover up my ugly hairdo. So anyway, this is day 5. I'm going to go in to see my doctor in another week, and I'll do part 2 of this series. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit. If you have any questions, just fire off a couple of questions there on YouTube, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. So until then, have a great day and Merry Christmas.
Do I just press the button?